The Starlight Voyager floated in the endless black of space, its metal hull scarred from the mission they had just completed. The crew moved slowly through the corridors, exhausted from the fight with the pirate drones near the asteroid belt. Inside, the med bay, the hum of machines filled the air. The lights were soft, the smell of sterilized air strong. Evan, the ship's human engineer, was repairing a damaged scanner when the door slid open. Liara stepped in. Her turquoise-blue skin glowed faintly under the med bay lights. Long silver hair fell over her shoulders, framing a face that usually looked calm and proud. But now she walked with a slight limp. Her eyes avoided Evan's as she headed for the far corner of the room. "You're hurt," Evan said immediately, setting down his tools. "It's nothing," Liara replied quickly, her voice cool. She sat down on the med chair and began adjusting the straps on her boots, as if that would hide her injury. Evan frowned. "Nothing doesn't make you limp." She didn't answer. The medbay's autoscan unit was offline after the last attack, and the ship's doctor was in another section of the ship, treating the wounded. That left only Evan. He stepped closer, watching her try to hide the way she winced when she moved her right leg. "Let me check it," he said. Her head snapped up, her silver hair swaying. "No, you don't understand. My people, we don't let others touch us. Not like that." Evan raised an eyebrow. "Not even to help?" She hesitated. "It's different. Contact with another species can create a bond. A link. It's dangerous." Evan gave a small half-smile. "Dangerous how? Am I going to explode?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. "You might bind yourself to me without meaning to. And where I come from, that can change everything." Before he could ask more, the ship's lights flickered from the power strain. A loud groan of metal echoed from somewhere in the ship, making them both look toward the door. A turbulence threw the med chair sideways. Liara nearly fell, but Evan caught her. His hands closed around her leg to steady her. She froze, her wide eyes locked on his hands. Her breath caught in her throat. Evan felt her muscles tense under his fingers. "Relax," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." But he noticed something strange. Through the smooth fabric of her uniform, her skin felt warmer than before, almost pulsing with a faint vibration. He knelt, still holding her leg gently. "Liara, this isn't just a bruise, is it?" She swallowed hard, looking away. "It's nothing you need to?" Her words cut off as he rolled up the edge of her boot. There, just above her ankle, faint lines of light shimmered beneath her skin, like veins of liquid silver. Evan's brows furrowed. "That's not normal, is it?" She tried to pull her leg back, but he held it just firmly enough to keep her still. "It's a wound," she admitted, "but not from any weapon, you know. It's from an energy lash. If it spreads, it will reach my heart." He stared at the glow. "And you were just going to sit here and wait for it to kill you?" Her voice rose slightly. "I told you, it's not that simple. If my people learn a human touched me while I carry this energy, they will say we're—" She stopped herself, as if the word was too much. "Say you're what?" he asked. "Linked," she whispered, "bound together for life." Evan took a slow breath, his hands steady on her leg. "Then I guess it's too late to worry about that now." Her eyes widened in shock, but before she could speak, the ship's intercom blared to life. "Attention all crew, unidentified vessel approaching. Shields up." The soft hum of the med bay turned into the sharp wail of alarms. Red lights pulsed along the walls. The deck under them shuddered. Evans stood, still between her and the door. "Looks like we've got bigger problems than cultural rules." Lyra's gaze darted to the glowing wound, then back to him. For a brief second, the fear in her eyes wasn't just from the incoming threat. It was from what his touch might mean for them both. The alarms grew louder. Somewhere deep in the ship, the sound of weapons powering up echoed like distant thunder. Evan grabbed a med kit from the wall and pressed it into her hands. Hold on to that. When this is over, you're telling me exactly what that glow means. She hesitated, clutching the kit to her chest. And if it means we're bound? He gave a quick, dry grin. Then I hope you like working with humans. The med bay door slid open to the chaos outside, and the first blast rocked the ship. The hallway outside the med bay was chaos. Crew members ran past, the red warning lights flashing over their faces. The deep thud of enemy weapons shook. The ship again, making the metal groan under the stress. Evan guided Liara toward the wall, so they wouldn't be trampled by the rushing crew. She still clutched the med kit tightly, her glowing leg hidden under her uniform. Stay here, he said. Let me check the damage to engineering. She shook her head. No, if you go, they might get to you before I can warn you. Warn me about what? He asked, glancing over his shoulder as another alarm wailed. She hesitated, lowering her voice so no one else could hear. The glow in my leg. It's reacting faster now because of your touch. The bond is growing. Evan frowned. You said that like it's a bad thing. For my people, it is. The bond means you are a part of me now. It links thoughts, feelings, even pain. He raised an eyebrow. So if you get hurt, I feel it. And if I get hurt, I will too, she finished. Another blast shook the deck, knocking a crewman into the wall near them. Evan helped him up, then turned back to Liara. Sounds like I'll just have to make sure neither of us gets hurt. She stared at him for a moment, as if trying to decide whether he was foolish or brave. Then the ship's comms crackled again. Boarding party detected on deck 5. All available crew respond. Evan's stomach tightened. That's close. Liara took a step toward the armory hatch in the wall, wincing as her leg flared with pain and light. I can fight. You can barely stand, he countered. Her silver eyes narrowed. Then stay near me. The bond will protect us both. They moved together toward the intersection where shouts and blaster fire echoed. Smoke drifted in from the next corridor. 3 enemy soldiers in black armor rounded the corner, rifles up. The moment they saw Evan and Liara, they opened fire. The shots never reached them. The air between them and the attackers shimmered, a faint silver glow pulsing from Lyra's leg, spreading outward like a wave. The blaster bolts bent off course, striking the walls. Evan's eyes widened. Was that? The bond, she said quickly. It shields us if we stay close. Evan grabbed a fallen crewman's stun rifle and returned fire, dropping 2 enemies while Liara disarmed the third with a swift, practiced kick. She gritted her teeth against the pain, but he noticed the glow didn't fade until the last enemy hit the floor. You're not just a passenger, he said, almost impressed. I told you, she replied, breathing hard. I'm not helpless. They retreated into a side passage as more boarders arrived. Evan pushed open a maintenance hatch and gestured for her to crawl inside. The cramped tunnel smelled of hot metal and old lubricant. Once they were out of sight, he checked her leg again. The glow was brighter than before, spreading up toward her knee. That's not good, he muttered. It's already too late to stop it, she said quietly. The more danger we face together, the stronger it becomes. And when it's fully formed, she met his gaze. Then our lives are no longer our own. What happens to you happens to me, and my people will know the moment they see us. Evan leaned back against the wall of the narrow tunnel, the sound of boots thundering overhead. Guess that means we finish this fight fast, before your people decide I'm some kind of outlaw for touching your leg. Liara gave a short, almost reluctant laugh. You don't understand. If they think the bond was by choice, They'll expect me to stay with you. Always. His lips curved into a small grin. And if it wasn't by choice? They'll still expect it, she said simply. Evan glanced at the glow again. Then I guess we'd better make it worth the trouble. Outside, the sound of an explosion rattled the tunnel, and the two of them exchanged a silent look. Enemies first, questions later. The emergency siren screamed louder as Evan and Lyra crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel. Every few seconds, the ship shuddered under enemy fire, making the metal walls vibrate around them. They reached a grate that looked down into one of the main corridors. Smoke rolled across the floor. 2 security officers were pinned down behind cover, exchanging fire with boarders in black armor. We can't go that way, Evan whispered. Lyra's silver eyes narrowed. Then we make our own way. He gave her a doubtful look. Through the heart of a firefight? Not my best engineering plan. It's better than waiting for them to find us in here, she replied. Besides, the bond will protect us. Evan wasn't sure he believed that, but there was no time to argue. They kicked the grate loose and dropped into the corridor. The boarders spotted them instantly. 3 rifles swung their way, barrels glowing dot. Evan felt the hair on his arms stand up. Then, right before the first shot, the silver glow from Lyra's leg flared bright. A shield of light rippled outward, bending the blaster bolts off course. The air shimmered around them like heat on metal. Still think we can't make it? She asked, moving forward with surprising speed despite her injury. I'm starting to like your bad ideas, he said, firing the stun rifle at the nearest attacker dot. They advanced together, the glow surrounding them like a living wall. Every time a shot came close, the bond seemed to sense it, pulling them just slightly out of the path or curving the energy away. One enemy tried to rush them with a blade. Lyra twisted, her movements smooth and precise, knocking the weapon from his hand and sending him sprawling. Evan covered her, dropping another boarder with a quick shot dot. By the time they reached the end of the corridor, the enemy squad was retreating toward the hangar. They're pulling back, Evan said. That's good, right? Lyra's expression was tense. Not good. They're regrouping. The ship's comms suddenly crackled with the captain's voice, strained and sharp. All crew, the enemy has disabled our jump drive. Trying to take the bridge. Secure critical systems at all costs. Evan cursed under his breath. If they get the bridge, we're done. Lyra stepped closer, lowering her voice. A bridge is 3 decks up. With your knowledge of the ship and my shield, we can make it before they do. He studied her for a moment. You're trusting me with your life. I already told you, she said, her voice firm. Our lives are linked now. If you fall, I fall too. That's not trust. It's survival. They took the service lift, its old motors whining under the strain. As they rose, the lights flickered and dimmed. Evan checked the control panel. They've cut power to most decks, trying to trap us in here. Can you override it? He pulled a multi-tool from his belt and began working fast, sparks flying as he crossed wires. If I can reroute emergency power, yes. If I can't. The lift jerked violently, stopping between decks. Then we climb, he finished. Maintenance ladder ran along the shaft wall. They began climbing, the echo of distant fighting filtering down from above. Halfway up, Lyra hissed in pain. The glow in her leg pulsed erratically. Evan looked down at her. You can't push it too hard. That thing's connected to both of us now. She met his gaze. Then don't fall. I can't carry you. Despite the danger, he smiled faintly and kept climbing. When they reached the top and forced open the hatch, the bridge corridor was chaos. Smoke, sparks, and bodies, friend and foe, littered the floor dot at the far end. The enemy leader, clad in reinforced armor, was breaking through the final security door. Evan gripped his rifle. "We stop him here." Liara stepped beside him, the glow in her legs spreading up through her body like silver fire. Together, as they moved forward, the glow's light grew so bright that even the enemy soldiers hesitated. And that was their mistake. Evan and Liara charged, the corridor to the bridge, shook with every blast as Evan and Liara pushed forward. Enemy fire lit up the smoke-filled air in red flashes. The silver glow around them pulsed faster now, almost alive, bending every blaster bolt away at the last second. The enemy leader, tall, broad, and wrapped in heavy armor, turned as they approached. His helmet's black visor reflected the shimmer around them. He raised a massive rifle and fired a shot so powerful it would have torn through normal shields. But the silver light flared brighter, absorbing the impact and sending a jolt of heat through both Evan and Liara. Evan staggered. "Did you feel that?" Lyra's breathing quickened. "Yes, the bond's changing." Before either could react, the leader charged. His heavy boots slammed against the deck, the metal groaning under his weight. He swung the rifle like a club, aiming straight for Evan's head. Liara moved without thinking. She grabbed Evan's arm and yanked him close, her body between him and the strike. The weapon slammed into the silver light, sending a shockwave down the corridor, knocking both the attacker and nearby soldiers to the ground. Evan steadied her. "That wasn't just a shield. It's adapting," she said, her voice tense. "When we're close, the bond feeds on our intent. It grows stronger." He smirked faintly. "Then let's give it something to feed on." They rushed the fallen leader. Evan fired point blank into the armor joints while Liara drove her. Boot into his chest plate, forcing him back. The silver glow followed their movements like a second skin, reinforcing each blow. The remaining enemies hesitated, eyes darting between their leader and the strange light surrounding the human-alien pair. One soldier broke and fled, then another. Soon only the leader remained, but he was already staggering, his rifle useless. "You can't keep it." The leader growled, his voice metallic through the helmet. "The bond will destroy you both." Evan leveled his rifle. "We'll take our chances." The leader tried one last charge, but the guardian-like glow around them surged, sending him flying backward into the wall. His armor cracked under the force, and he collapsed. With the corridor clear, the security door to the bridge hissed open. Inside, the captain and bridge crew looked up in shock. "What happened to the boarding party?" the captain asked. Evan glanced at Liara. "Let's just say they ran into a complication." The captain's gaze lingered on the faint glow, still clinging to their skin. "That's no ordinary shield." "What are you two hiding?" Liara straightened. "Nothing that will put this crew in danger. As long as you keep us together." The captain frowned, but didn't press. Instead, she ordered the crew to begin repairs. When the bridge was secure again, Evan leaned against the wall, catching his breath. Liara joined him, her voice low. "That was the bond's true form," she said. "It doesn't just protect, it amplifies us. Strength, speed, even instinct." Evan chuckled. "Sounds useful. Why do your people hate it so much?" Her eyes softened. "Because when it grows too strong, the two it binds. Can't live apart, not without dying." He stared at her, the hum of the ship fading for a moment. "So you're saying—" "I'm saying," she interrupted, "that whatever happens, next we survive it together, or not at all." Before he could reply, the captain called over the comms. "Evan, Liara, report to the war room. Our attackers aren't gone. They've called reinforcements." Lyra's hand brushed his as they moved toward the door. The glow pulsed again, as if it could hear every beat of their hearts. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. The war room was a hive of activity. Holographic maps flickered in midair, showing red enemy signals closing in from all directions. The Starlight Voyager was still repairing its jump drive. They had minutes at best. The captain pointed to the largest signal. Reinforcement carrier. Twice our size, triple our guns. If they get in range, we're finished. Evans scanned the tactical display. If we can disable their main cannon before they fire, we might live through this. That cannon is buried, deep inside their hull, the captain said. You'd need a direct strike from inside their own ship. Liara stepped forward without hesitation. Then we board them. The room went silent. Boarding them is suicide, the first officer said. Liara met Ethan's eyes. Not if we use the bond. He understood instantly. The shield could get them through enemy fire, even across open space, if it stayed strong. Enough, but the risk. If the bond fails, we're both dead, he said quietly. Her voice was calm. Then it doesn't fail. Minutes later, they stood in the airlock, the hum of the ship vibrating under their boots. Through the window, the enemy carrier loomed, black metal, bristling with weapons, its surface lit by the glow of charging cannons. Evan checked his helmet seals. If this goes wrong, remind me whose idea it was. Liara's lips curved faintly. Mine. So if we die, I'll take the blame. The outer hatch opened. Beyond it, space stretched in silent, endless darkness. They launched together, the ships. Magnetic catapult hurling them across the void. Blaster fire lanced past, but the silver glow wrapped them like a comet's tail, deflecting every shot. Evan felt their movements sink. Every twist, every push from his boots matched by hers. It was like they shared one body, one mind. They landed hard on the enemy hull, magnetic clamps in their boots locking them in place. The glow dimmed, conserving energy. Airlocks here, Evan said, cutting through a panel with his plasma. Tool. Inside, they moved fast, through tight metal corridors, past confused enemy soldiers who barely had time to raise weapons before being thrown aside by the shield's force. Finally, they reached the cannon control chamber. The massive weapon loomed before them, cables and conduits glowing with power. Evan set the charges while Liara held the door against a wave of enemies. The bond flared with every strike against their shield, feeding their strength. 30 seconds, Evan shouted. A blaster bolt slipped through a weak point in the glow, grazing his shoulder. Pain shot through him, and at the same moment, Liara staggered, clutching her own shoulder. Shared pain, he gasped. You weren't kidding. She gritted her teeth. Then don't get hit again. The timer ticked down. The last enemies fell back as the glow brightened to a blinding silver. Time to go. Evan yelled. They sprinted for the airlock. Behind them, the charges blew. A thunderous explosion tearing through the carrier's spine, the main cannon. Shattering in a storm of fire and metal, the shockwave pushed them into space, the bond's shield cocooning them as they tumbled back toward the Voyager. They landed in the docking bay hard, sliding to a stop. The glow faded, leaving only the sound of their ragged breathing. The captain's voice came over the comms. The enemy's pulling back. You bought us our jump window. Evan glanced at Liara. We made it. She shook her head slightly. No, we changed. The bond's complete now. His chest tightened. Meaning? Her silver eyes held his. Meaning from now on, our lives aren't just linked. They're one. Asterisk the Starlight Voyager hung in the calm of open space, the stars stretching like silver rivers around it. The crew gathered in the central hangar, whispers passing between them as Evan and Liara stood before the captain. The glow had faded from their bodies, but everyone had seen it during the battle. Everyone had felt the way the ship itself seemed. To follow their lead, the captain stepped forward. Reports say you destroyed the enemy's main cannon and saved this ship. But there's something else here, something I need to hear from you both." Lyra's eyes swept the crew, her expression calm but certain. "The bond is real. It linked us during the fight. Without it, neither of us would be standing here." Now, murmurs rippled through the hangar, awe, fear, and disbelief all mixing together. The captain's gaze turned to Evan. "You understand what this means? Her people won't ignore this. They may demand her return, or yours." Evan's voice was steady. "Then they'll have to take both of us, because the bond doesn't break." Lyra took a step closer to him, standing so their shoulders almost touched. "My people will see this as dangerous. Some will call it forbiddance, but they will also know it cannot be undone." One of the younger crew members spoke up from the crowd. "So what now?" Lyra's silver eyes softened, but her voice stayed strong. "Now we live with it. We fight with it. And if anyone comes for one of us—" She glanced at Evan. "They answer to both." The captain studied them for a long moment, then gave a slow nod. "Then so be it. From this day forward, you fight as one." Evan felt the faintest pulse of silver warmth under his skin, and when he looked at Lyra, he knew she'd felt it too. She gave him the smallest of smiles. "Guess you're stuck with me now, human," he smirked back. "Could be worse." Above them, the hangar's wide observation window revealed the stars, endless waiting. The Voyager's engines rumbled to life, carrying them back into the unknown. Side by side, bound in ways neither had expected, they walked forward as the ship leapt into hyperspace. 2 lives, 1 fate, and a galaxy that would soon learn what that truly meant.